Welcome to the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast, where we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them, they struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax deferral options. Not having a clear plan is the enemy, and using a proven tax deferral strategy, such as the Deferred Sales Trust, is the best way for you to sell your highly appreciated luxury primary home, or investment real estate, or cryptocurrency. Hey, I'm your host, Brett Swartz, and each episode I'm joined by some of the best real estate, financial, business, and wealth minds in the world, where they share their ideas, deal stories, and inspiration. So together we can make complex tax deferral strategies simple and passive income plans achievable. Hey, by the way, we're also streaming on expertcresecrets.com as well. Hey, I'm excited about our next guest. He's been featured in CNN, Forbes, Fox, Northwest Herald, the Wall Street Journal. He's a real estate consultant and top producing realtor with over 20 years of experience in the real estate industry. And he specializes in luxury listings, and he has been marketing and featured on some of the biggest names in the industry, including, again, Fox News, Chicago Business Hour, to name a few. He's also the author of the books Luxury Listing Specialist and Outside the Box and Marketing Luxury. Please welcome to the show with me, Michael LaFido. Hey, Michael, how you doing?
I'm doing excellent. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Excited to dive in a little bit, to get to know you a little bit more. I had the pleasure to attend your training, your amazing training in Napa, California, just a few weeks ago. And so we got to be in person, which is not something to take for granted these days, right, given COVID-19. And so thanks for coming out to California. I know you're from Chicagoland, and so you'll tell us a little bit about that. So for our listeners, by the way, we're going to be talking about listing luxury real estate. Michael has a worldwide training and platform of helping realtors level up their game and help them to sell luxury. But before we dive into that, Michael, would you give our listeners a little bit more about your story and your current focus?
Yeah, so Michael LaFido, based in the Chicagoland suburbs, I've been licensed since 2000, and I was a part-time real estate agent and a full-time high school teacher up until 2010. And then we really just went all full steam ahead on our home selling business. And through that, a lot of agents, a lot of relationships occurred where people are like, how are you doing so well when you were a full-time teacher, part-time agent? So we launched some coaching and some products and DVD products, and I had a lot of success there. And I had an agent who was a top luxury agent and a few others reach out to me and basically say, we want to take those same concepts and apply it to luxury. So we made the switch, the focus to be luxury in about 2013, 14, and fast forward a couple of years after that. In 2016, we launched our flagship product, if you will. It's our designation called Lux for short, LUXE, but Luxury Listing Specialist. And we coach, we train, we help individual agents, team leaders, and brokerages increase their average sale price and dominate their business in the high end and luxury properties for their given market.
Amazing. And we're going to dive into that here all in a minute. And by the way, you can find more about Michael LaFido at marketingluxurygroup.com. That's marketingluxurygroup.com. So Michael, that's amazing, and I can't wait to dive into the high school teacher, right, into the one of the leading voices for realtors in the nation and for listing luxury properties, maybe even the world now. But before we go there, I think I'd like you to take a step back and even go even a little bit deeper to who you are, Michael. And, maybe go back to the high school days, maybe the college days. And I believe we've all been given certain gifts in this life, and these gifts, I believe, are given to us to be a blessing and help to others. Some people call them strengths, some people call them superpowers. I think they're God-given gifts, and I'm curious, what are those one or two gifts that you believe you were given, and how does that help how you help and bless people today?
Yeah, great question. So a lot of the success we've had, I owe it to, high school athletics. I think you can learn more on the gridiron, the football field, or the baseball field, or the wrestling mat, whatever it might be, the gymnastics mat, than just in the classroom by itself. So, whether it be working with others, whether it be not giving up, whether it be, mentally you're tired, you're exhausted, you don't want to go to practice, you don't want to compete, all those things that we, face as husbands, as fathers, as wives, as parents, and pushing through those difficulties. I just feel like I'm so fortunate, Brett, to have those foundational principles that I learned through athletics. So for me, I use a lot of isms, if you will, and coaching isms. I'll say some on today's show, but behind me, one of them that you can maybe see is prove them wrong. I love when people say you can't do something, right? Or another one I say all the time is refuse to lose or refuse to be average, right? So, you can always get better. And if you're not getting better, your competition is. So, taking those concepts and just consistently trying to apply and get better at it, whatever you do in your industry, just SWOT analysis. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are you passionate about? What are some threats to you in your industry? And iron sharpens iron. My butt's always burning, my mind's always going. I'm always trying to get better, and that stems from being part of an amazing football program where we won the state championship, and taking those same concepts to really every aspect in life, including parenting and coaching and being a better husband and trying to be, right.
Absolutely love it. Yeah, I certainly resonate with that. Playing high school sports myself, and, college, high school football, and high school basketball, and I had a chance to play basketball in college. And I always said that was my classroom, right? I definitely resonated more. I wasn't as much of the bookworm. I found certain subjects very, very passionate: history, math. Some of the other ones, I was just kind of like, when can I get to play basketball? When can I get to play sports again and practice and such? So I definitely resonate with that. I appreciate you sharing that, and those are lifelong truths. I love the prove them wrong. I love the refuse to be average, and then working with others and persevering. So now let's dive right into to the topic of the show, Michael, which we're talking about listing luxury real estate. So, Michael, what's the number one secret if for a listing a luxury specialist? What's the number one secret for them to start with, to obtain, in order to be successful in listing and obtaining more and more deals that are higher end?
Yeah, so I look at it as diversification of your portfolio. So let's just say you won the mega lotto. Your financial advisor would tell you to diversify, right? Have some low risk, some high risk, some long-term, short-term investments. No different than the properties that agents and team leaders and brokerages represent. Most agents and team leaders focus on the average price properties for their market, or maybe entry level starter. I challenge agents to go after more high end and more luxury. But getting back to your original question, there's no, I can tell you, Brett, there's no easy button, right? Everybody's looking for the easy button. So none of it works all the time, but the vast majority of things that we talk about work the majority of the time. So, I use football as my background. Vince Lombardi says, whether you think you can win or not, you're right. So my point is, many agents have what I call limiting beliefs. They believe they have to live in a certain size home, or drive a certain car, or come from wealth, or be wealthy themselves to work with the luxury buyers and sellers. And although if you did come from money, and your parents do belong to a country club, and you live in a gated community, it certainly makes it a lot easier. But I didn't come from any of that. And so, you really have to start with your mindset. Lisa Hayes says, whether you think you can, she says, be careful how you talk to yourself, because guess what? You are listening. And so you really have to believe you belong. You have to believe that you can do it. It really starts from the mindset. That's the most important thing. And many agents won't go on those opportunities because the what ifs, and they what if themselves to death. What if they ask me this? What if they ask me this? Like, for example, a property you mentioned my book earlier, and I'm looking for it. I can't find it, but the cover that's on my book, there's a house that we represent. It was Architectural Digest most beautiful home for sale in Illinois. It's on the market for $7.5 million. When he interviewed me, he flat out said, how many other homes have you sold in Barrington Hills, Illinois? I said, I haven't sold any other homes in this area, but you're currently listed with the second neighborhood specialist. The first didn't get the job done. The second hasn't. So if you want someone that keeps doing the same things as everybody else locally, Einstein defines that insanity. But if you want someone that's outside the box, that's creative, doesn't think like a real estate agent, but thinks like a marketer, you're talking to the right guy. So I don't even like saying listing luxury real estate with Michael LaFido. I would call it marketing real estate, luxury real estate with Michael LaFido, because really I teach agents not to think like a listing agent, but think like a marketer.
That is phenomenal. So much golden nuggets there. I want to focus first on the mindset one, right? Because I think
Yep.
this is, you have a really unique story, and that you were a high school teacher, high school, athletic coach. I think basketball or football or both, and you're there, and you're in the middle of doing that into transitioning, right? And I imagine it wasn't like just day one. You're like, oh yeah, I'm not going to struggle with identity of I'm just a luxury listing agent, right? It was a process you had to work through. So take us through that
Yeah.
shift of that mindset, and how did you really break through? What was the moment when you said, okay, it doesn't matter what I drive or my income right now, but I will be, a top listing agent.
Yeah. So mindset's important, right? I teach agents grow your knowledge and your confidence will grow. Grow your knowledge and your confidence will grow. Of course, Brett, when you're more confident, you'll step out of your comfort zone more. When you step out of your comfort zone more, that's, I think, where the magic happens. So that, whether that be attending events, whether that be uh, reading certain, publications, whether it be podcasts, grow your knowledge and your confidence will grow. And so for me, mentorship is important. Tony Robbins says success leaves clues. Go figure out what someone successful is doing and model and tweak it and improve it and make it your own. So one of my mentors was Dan S. Kennedy, and he's written a lot of books out there. And one of them he talked about is marketing to the affluent. And so if you're going to sell widgets, if you're going to sell supplies, if you're going to sell towels, if you're going to sell, in my case, real estate, he talked about might as well sell the more expensive ones. There's more margins and you can make more money selling less products. And so that resonated with me. And so I just, it was like a sponge. I tried to absorb and consume as much knowledge as I could. And so that's what prompted me to make the tweak from the entry level properties and the average properties to go after the high end and the luxury. But it took some time for
Yeah.
me.
So having that Dan Kennedy, having that, like, that mentor, observing, wanting that, learning about that, and applying that, and then so you make the shift. I think at one point you're telling your story when Napa, you're saying all of a sudden I was making much more money. First it was pretty close, then it was like more, and then it was much more, and you're like, okay, now I'm retiring from being a teacher.
I
Maybe
retired from teaching. It was like, the light bulb went off. Like, what are you doing here? Like you can help and impact thousands of lives. So for me too, I have a podcast like you, right? And so, I want to educate others but you're doing it. We're impacting thousands of lives versus, a couple hundred over a couple years in teaching, and that's important. I'm not downplaying that. My wife's a teacher, so kudos to them.
Right.
But I'm following my passions and what I feel is like my calling.
Beautiful, absolutely love it. So that's number one is diversifying your portfolio, kind of overcoming limiting beliefs, right? And if Michael LaFido could do it as being a teacher, and moving to luxury, we can do it, right? That's part of the amazing thing of what Michael's doing. So that number two, what would
So you were talking about what's the number two tip?
yeah, what's the number two secret? You have to maybe leveling up your game if you're already in trying to break into luxury, or just what's the number two thing to get going?
This sounds, I don't know what it sounds like, but go to where the money is, right? So what I mean by that is, I'm based in a suburb of Chicago, and I literally joined the Chamber of Commerce 45 minutes away, where the $1 million properties were selling, and there were high-end buyers. And so, you got to maybe join that Chamber of Commerce. You got to go to those networking events. You got to maybe go to that golf club, whatever it might be. But if you're in an area where there aren't a lot of high-end and luxury properties, that's okay. You might have to drive a little bit. So, I'm a licensed agent in the state of Illinois. My philosophy is have car, will travel. I have a winery I'm selling 2.5 hours outside of Chicago. Okay, so you might have to go to where these opportunities are. You might not pick up and move your family, or you might, some cases, but I didn't. But I just networked and went to the city of Chicago, even though, I'm 40 minutes outside of there. And so, again, go to where those opportunities are, because they're not going to land in your lap.
Excellent. So yeah, join the Chamber of Commerce, join the golf club, go to where those opportunities are. Be willing to get in your car and go to those meetings and network. So that's excellent. So you're building that. So that's number two. What's number three, Michael?
Yeah. So real quick on number two. So going into the chamber, the reason you do that is you network with other business owners that cater to high net worth individuals, right? And so it's about the best way to get referrals is give them. So if you're that connector, if you're that guy that's always looking out for others, and those just happen to be business owners that cater to successful people, you're going to differentiate yourself, and you're going to be top of mind awareness. So that's why number two I talked about that that chamber as an example. Number three I think is hire a mentor or a coach. Right? Tony Robbins says success leaves clues. You know, I I know you can't see me much on camera, but I belong to Orange Theory Fitness. That's a public workout place. I know I could run on a treadmill. I know to go run a mile or two. I was a former physical education teacher. I know what I should do, but having accountability, having, uh, you know, being on that treadmill next to that guy next to you that you want to beat, competing is important. Well, no different than in business, right? So having that coach, that mentorship that holds you accountable, that pushes you, you know, that is really important as well. So again, the top business, the top CEOs, the top luxury agents, the top agents, period, they have mentorship, they have coaching, they have accountability.
Excellent. Yeah. And even the great, like, Michael Jordan and late Kobe Bryant and LeBron James. I mean, these guys all have, of course you say, well, yeah, they're all, billionaires or whatever, right? They can do that. But, they have coaching on every level of fitness,
Mhm.
of health, of business, right? And so as real estate professionals and as a commercial real estate broker myself, and even I had to overcome that as well. I mean, I went from athletics having all this coaching and even academics having all these teachers and mentors to now you're in the real world. You think, well, no, that doesn't stop. That should just lead you to get more coaching and training. Is that a fair summary, Michael?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You want to get better. Iron sharpens iron. There's accountability too. So you were at that event that we did in Napa, 70 agents, 19 states represented. So hopefully there were some relationships formed there. And during those relationships where agents are sharing best practices, they might be holding each other accountable, weekly or monthly check-ins. Hey, I know you had these three items you wanted to implement in the next 60 to 90 days. How are you doing? So accountability, checking in with others, being a part of a mastermind where you're not the smartest person in the world, maybe in the room, excuse me, maybe you're the least smart in that room. They'll pull you up, but then giving back too, but, being part of groups where you clearly have the knowledge over some others, but you're helping and giving back.
So well said. Yeah, it's like it's a flow of knowledge and wisdom and giving back, right? Flows into you should flow out. I love that. And the accountability part, right? That's what changes it, right? Something to have wisdom and knowledge, or to have information and knowledge, right? But it's not until you're taking that action, have that accountability to get it to stick, that it either A leads into that experience and traction on stuff. So I think that it's huge on accountability. Excellent. So maybe number four. Is there a fourth one?
It's a great question. For real estate agents, it would be, the old song from the 1990s, OPP, leveraging other people's successes until you have your own. So, let's just say you're a real estate agent with, EXP or Compass, doesn't matter. If there's someone in your office that has had success, with their permission, of course, leveraging their successful sales, or maybe attending their open houses, shooting some videos there, maybe offering to host open houses. So leveraging other people's properties until you have your own.
I think that's so smart, right? And I made a video on the YouTube from the Napa winery that we toured, right? And I spoke about this on your podcast. It was an $18 million listing, about a $10 million basis. She's single, kids are gone. She's moving out of California. I mean, this thing it's just magnificent, beautiful, beautiful. Like, has its own small winery, right
Yeah,
on the
14
property.
acres of vineyard
Yeah.
out of the 44.
Yeah, and so she's selling, and she has these huge capital gains taxes, and of course that's what we do here at Capital Gains Tax Solutions, help people defer capital gains tax, not using a 1031 exchange. And so I was able to not only promote the video, also promote what I'm doing as well, and just telling the story as I'm walking around, showing like tangibly, like if they sell this property, they're looking at about $3.3 million of tax. And so using the deferred sales trust, we can defer that, and that's neat because that agent gets some promotion, right? I get a little bit of promotion, and then maybe even the client, if it works out and they like what we do, hey, they deferred 3.3 million of tax. It's a win-win for everybody. So I love the idea of leveraging other people's success until you have your own, whether that's be working with a mentor or a listing agent who's done it before you, and or just adding value, doing open houses for agents. It's all available. It's just about taking those action steps on that. Is that a fair summary, Michael?
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Excellent. All right, let's shift a little bit here into a little bit about capital gains tax. I'm curious, sellers in the past or even yourself, what's the biggest frustration, Michael, when it comes to, selling luxury houses and either not having the 1031 exchange option or having to, walk clients through this huge capital gains tax liability that perhaps is a big challenge for some of your clients?
Well, bridging the gap. So, in the Chicagoland market, for example, it's been a buyer's market forever in the upper price points. Now it's more neutral. I wouldn't call it a seller's market in that multi-million dollar. For example, we're representing a property that's close to $10 million. And, we got a $5 million offer on the table, which is in 50% of asking price, which is low, low, low. But having ways that we can make it a win-win for both parties. We got a huge gap where we got to bridge this gap, whether it be somewhere in the middle, maybe my guy doesn't come down, not even close to somewhere in the middle. The buyer doesn't want to come up. How do we bridge the gap? So having solutions where, Mr. Seller, you're going to be, even if you got your price, you're going to be paying X in capital gains taxes. But here's an option where, you got a buyer that's willing to pay this, you're willing to sell here. We've got this gap, but I have a solution that can help bridge this gap through being creative. And so that's where someone like yourself would come in. And those are real life scenarios that we face, in those upper price points.
Yeah, 100%. I like the way you put that, bridging the gap, right? It's not always, it's not just what you can sell it for, it's what the seller's going to net, right? So they're going to want to know, what are the commissions, what are the closing costs, what's the debt, all of those things. And taxes, literally, especially if it's higher end and they own it for 10, 15 years, that's going to be their biggest expense. It's not the commissions, it's not the closing costs, right? It's that tax, right? And that tax, again, can be somewhere between 30 and 50%, depending on if it's investment property and they have depreciation recapture. And Biden, by the way, Michael, the administration is proposing to take capital gains tax federal from 20 to potentially 40, right? So you're looking at an additional 20%. So that house in Napa we're talking about, 3.3 million could be 5.3. So even again, this becomes more of a challenge for sellers. So yes, that's the deferred sales trust. For those who are wondering, you can go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. That's capitalgainstaxsolutions.com to learn more about that. We do free consultations. Your client doesn't pay us anything, or you don't pay us anything unless you do the deal and we close on it. So there's no obligation there. You can go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. Okay, Michael, thank you for sharing about that.
In that example, that's a perfect example of not knowing, going from 20% to 40%. How do you create urgency in a stagnant market at some of those price points, like that winery that we visited, that $18 million property? I don't know, that might motivate a seller knowing that they might be paying twice the amount in capital gains taxes if they go about it the traditional way. And so again, providing solutions, educating my clients so they can make a sound decision. So, I'm so glad that we met in Napa and, we had you on our show.
Cool. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. So that being said, we're running out of time. You ready for the lightning round?
Let's do it.
All right. Knowing what you know now, Michael, if you go back to your 25-year self, if you could, what's the one golden nugget you make sure to tell yourself to do?
Don't wait 10 to 12 years before I start going into high-end and luxury real estate. Start off the get-go.
Don't wait. Get started. Absolutely. Question number 2. What's the number one book you've recommended or gifted the most in the past year? And of course, it could be your book too.
Yeah. We've gifted our book more than everyone, but that's Luxury Listing Special. It's on Amazon. But that's, another book that I highly recommend that has is The 5 Love Languages from Gary Chapman. Mm-hmm. Has nothing to do with business, but I can tell you, if you have a successful relationship, if you're married or you're in a relationship, your business will follow. The flip side of that is if you have a terrible relationship you're in, your business will struggle more so than if you were in a positive relationship.
Absolutely love that. 5 love languages. That's like a part of my brain when I read it for the first time. It get opened up for the first time. Like, oh wow, like that makes sense now. So yeah, the 5 love languages. Excellent.
Yeah.
Question number 3. What's the number one theme or leadership quote that you strive to live by?
Well, I think for this topic, the number one quote that I think people would get out of here to work with more high-end clients is from Daniel Kahneman. And he says, people would rather do business with someone they like and they trust rather than someone they don't, even if this likable person is offering a lower quality product and service at a higher price. So I teach agents to, of course, offer a higher quality product and service, have more of a silver platter mentality, white glove mentality. And now you can justify your fee. You don't have to discount because you do what you say you're going to do, and you bring a higher quality product and service, but you're likable. Be likable.
Beautiful, perfect, beautiful. Love that. Number one, our biggest obstacle facing luxury agents or realtors in general.
There's so many options out there. There's a lot of commission suppression out there. So agents have to bring more value. You gotta do what you say you're going to do. And if you focus on what they net, just like your business, if I help an agent focus on what they net to superior marketing, exposure, better negotiating, bigger database, more qualified traffic, then that's really what they care about. What am I going to net? When the dust settles, they won't focus on necessarily their fees. They'll focus on netting, and not by default. You got to educate them. You got to share with them why they should be focusing on net versus fees.
Very well said. Second to last question. What are you most curious about, Michael?
What am I most curious about? I'm most curious to see if the truth about this virus is going to come out. I guess that's what I'm most curious about. I don't trust the media anymore. It's one-sided. I want the truth to come out. Did it start in a lab? Did it start in a wet market? Was it politically motivated? I'd like to know the answers to that.
So would I. That's very well said. Last question, Michael. After helping all the people you've helped, after transitioning from a full-time high school teacher to one of the leading luxury realtors, perhaps definitely in the nation, but perhaps even in the world now, and especially with your training, writing all the books, your family, everything you've succeeded with, how do you stay centered in your values? And then how do you stay encouraged to charge forward to reach new heights?
Staying centered, right, is I think a lot of your roots. I come from blue collar, so knowing that there's going to be highs and lows and turbulence in business and relationships, believer in God and Jesus Christ, that humbles you, right? Who do you compare yourself to? Do you compare yourself to, if as a former football player, the inferior teams? Well, man, I feel pretty good. I'm pretty good at football. Or do you compare yourself to the best, and you realize, man, I got to continue to get better. So being humble, but having that burning desire, there's that balance, Brett, that I struggle with, that we all struggle with, as far as being a husband, being a parent. My kid's first day of school, off of school, is today, and being available for them, right? So that's something that having your priorities and remaining true to those priorities is something that we can all get better at. But I take pride in trying to be the best I can.
Amazing, Michael. Hey, I want to thank you for being on the show, Michael. I want to thank you for sharing a lot about your story, tons of wisdom. And I want to encourage you to keep using the gifts and talents you've been given of perseverance, working with others, proving them wrong, right? Proving them wrong, and instilling belief and encouragement for anyone listening today, whatever profession they're in, right? To overcome false beliefs, limiting beliefs, and to take action to use the gifts they've been given to bless others. For those who want to get in touch with you, Michael, would you remind them one last time what's the best place for them to connect with you?
Yeah, probably our website has all our contact information. Like Brett said, Marketing Luxury Group, or michaellafido.com. But email is probably best, michael@marketingluxurygroup.com. It's just michael@marketingluxurygroup.com. You can find me all over the web. You can, I hate to say Google me, but you can Google me and find us out there.
Awesome, Michael. Hey, thanks for being on the show. And also want to thank our listeners for listening to that episode of the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast. Also stream on expertcresecrets.com. Hey, where we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them, they struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax deferral options. Not having a clear plan is the enemy, and using a proven tax deferral strategy, such as the deferred sales trust, is the best way for you to sell high your luxury property, your cryptocurrency, your primary home, business, and defer the capital gains taxes so you can net more when you sell, right? And you can build more wealth. If we can help you at all, we would love to. You can go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com to learn more about the deferred sales trust. You can also search us on YouTube, Capital Gains Tax Solutions. Please rate, review, subscribe, and please share this with somebody that can help out. We so appreciate everyone out there